Should I be eating my meat raw on a carnivore diet? Some people say you should eat raw meat for the best nutrition. Let's see what the evidence really says. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and welcome to my channel where I review and debunk nutritional misinformation online. In this video, which is an interview with Dr. Paul Saladino from some years ago, I think in the height of his carnivore diet era, if you will. The discussion here is, should you eat meat raw or cooked? And we'll hear a discussion. And if you're new to the channel, bear with me. I'll give you my final thoughts at the end.
The cooking thing, some people, like there's some meats, for example, people will assert that the bioavailability of the protein is enhanced when you cook it versus when you have it raw, you're actually losing out. But then on the other side of the spectrum, you'd be thinking with something as nutrient dense as liver, if I can retain even like all of the nutrients and not cook out any of them, if there was a chance that you'd lose some of the quality, like why would I take that risk? You know, like, is there certain foods that you should cook, like eggs, for example, with, neutralizing the avidin component relative to meats? Is raw like, a more ideal potentially, or like, what do you think on that?
This is such an interesting question now. There's this guy on Instagram doing this raw meat thing. People are talking about this a lot. One of the reasons that I like to eat raw liver was just this idea, like, okay, I'm going to get all the riboflavin, all the potentially heat labile nutrients. I'm trusting the source. I've never gotten sick in my experience, my N of 1 from raw liver. I'll do an ounce, half an ounce a day, but that's why I do it raw. It's super easy. I don't have to cook it. I like it better, and it's preserving things. I think that the majority of the literature points to the fact that when you cook foods, you will sacrifice some of the nutrients, not all, but some. And when you desiccate nutrients, when you freeze dry nutrients, you're going to lose some of the nutrients, but not all. And the trade-off is what appears to be increased protein digestibility. And there's a lot of studies on this, so it's hard to really look at all of them. But I think in terms of like pig guts and these other studies that have been done, Richard Wrangham has talked about this in the book Catching Fire. When you cook meat, it appears that the protein is more bioavailable for humans when you cook it. Now,
well, so Dr. Saladino's history as a super user and someone who did the diet himself talks about his own experience. And of course, I try to get in other people's experiences as well, look at the literature like he does, listen to my clinical population who've been following various diets for a long time. It seems to me the missing element here is the cooking of meat actually will, destroy any kind of bacteria or other sort of parasites that might be there. So the balance should include the safety of the meat of consumption. Now, if you're, not doing anything risky with consuming raw foods and you know where it comes from and it looks great, I don't know that there's much risk to it. If you're not paying much attention to where the food comes from, if you're just, want to do this with everyday food and the raw meat comes flown in, frozen from somewhere else, and you may want to pay a little more attention on the safety side of things. So here, the difference between cooking and eating something raw can include the reduction in the nutrients that you will be having. But are we really at that sort of edge where you have to worry about the amount of nutrients? You don't want to be anywhere near that edge where you're, deficient in anything. And so my first question is, when we eat as much as we want on a certain kind of low carb, keto, carnivore way of eating, are we anywhere near an edge of where we might be deficient in something? I'm not sure. I don't think we are.
having said that, I don't really like a well-done steak. So when I'm eating a steak, it's like cooked on the outside and raw on the inside. When I eat hamburgers, they're kind of the same way. So I'm getting both. You could also do the same thing with your liver if you wanted to sear the outside and leave the inside pink. But yeah, there's always this trade-off, nutrient bioavailability, at least in terms of heat labile nutrients. A lot of the B vitamins are probably denatured partially when you cook it. Vitamin C appears to be heat labile. And then protein availability and protein digestibility. You hit on a great thing with the egg whites. I would cook your egg whites because there is avidin. It does bind biotin. You are sort of creating this negative pull away from the B vitamins with the avidin and the egg white. I would cook it if you're going to eat the egg whites. Some people just, for a while, when I was eating more eggs, I would just separate and just eat the yolks because I found them interesting to eat raw and enjoyable and simple. The one thing I'll say about eggs is, from the data that I've seen, if you're getting an organic egg or a pasture-raised egg, if you know the quality, the incidence of the salmonella and the campylobacter on the shell is much lower. And that's where the contamination comes from. So if you crack the egg and there's contamination on the shell, if you keep the yolk membrane intact, the yolk has like a really thin membrane. And you know how you can like crack an egg, separate the white, it'll fall through your hand. The yolk will just sit in your hand. It looks really cool. It's like this little bubble. And it's just, it's not surface tension. There's actually a membrane on the yolk. And if you haven't cracked the yolk with a raw egg, the risk of contamination there is extremely low because the shell didn't even really touch the yolk. So that's one thing to consider. But I would cook your whites if you want to eat them. Does that answer some of your questions?
Yeah. Like I've seen when you actually look at it from like a molecular mass level, it seems like the amount of biotin from the yolk itself relative to the avidin content of the egg white surrounding it, you could otherwise just be like netting out like zero, where it's like you're not, I don't know, where it's like you could be at a net positive, but at the same time, like it seems like the more reasonable approach is just to ensure you've neutralized the avidin component by cooking it adequately.
Yeah, at least for the white.
Yeah, so to unpack that just a little bit, there are some foods that we eat that are kind of anti-nutrients even, where they block the absorption of other nutrients. These generally are carbohydrates that are consumed that then block the absorption of other things. But avidin is a component of egg whites, and it can block the biotin absorption, but how much you have matters. So I'm afraid what we've come through is an era, even nutritionists have focused on the minutia of the micronutrients, of where they're going to come from, and lost sight of the macronutrients, meaning focusing on proteins and fats, mainly, not the carbohydrates. So that the concerns that have come up so far to me are kind of micro concerns even about the micronutrients.
And then you have to go through and look how heat labile is biotin in the yolk, how much of the, how much of the biotin in the yolk are you going to denature when you cook it. So, and I think a lot of people could also benefit from more biotin, which is one of the kind of overarching ideas. And that's the whole reason that I got interested in nose to tail eating and these hunter-gatherer cultures and eating organs or eggs, egg yolks, or anything in the first place. Like, are there nutrients like biotin or riboflavin or anserine or taurine or CoQ10 that we could really improve our overall nutrient status by sort of eating in a way that is apparently evolutionarily consistent?
What do you think about the like peptides and growth factors that could otherwise be denatured during cooking as well? Like I know Liver King, one of his claims is, well, I don't know how like strongly he believes it or if he just does it as like an insurance policy, but he eats raw because he wants to retain these like growth factors that I'd be skeptical that they're even bioavailable to do something, actively. Whereas like typically that's like a, I don't know, in paracrine function where you have like in intracellular concentrations of hormones being produced, and just like eating it is not necessarily yielding like an active effect. So I would be skeptical that it even does anything, but I wanted to run it by you if you've looked into that at all, or if there's any viability.
It's interesting. Like, so BPC 157 occurs in the stomach and the intestines, or at least in the juices.
True.
And people do eat like mondongo, I think, is intestines. And then there's like all these other Latin American dishes that are intestines. I have intestines in my fridge in Costa Rica. And people do take BPC 157 orally. And I think it's mostly for gut issues, but who knows? I think the peptides are this Wild West frontier where I would love to see more research on this. And we're just kind of guessing. We don't really know the answer there. You're absolutely right. Like, are they bioavailable? It's a peptide. It's 50 or less amino acids canonically. You're going to put that peptide into a stomach acid, which is a pH of 1.5. Like, that peptide could get broken down, but it also could have effects in the stomach, or sometimes they do pass through the stomach intact. So who knows? It's very interesting. I remember reading some research about collagen peptides that perhaps, and I'd have to go back and actually dig into this in detail, that some of the peptides might actually pass through the stomach and they didn't get fully degraded. So I do think that's an interesting hypothesis. Like, maybe a little bit of raw organs every once in a while could give you some peptides that are valuable. I certainly think that the peptides in organs are fascinating. And I I don't know how this research is going to happen, Derek, because I don't know who's going to fund it. Like,
Yeah.
but there was a little bit in the 50s and 60s and 70s. There was a guy named Jeffrey Bland who actually did this with rats, I think, and he used spleen extract and liver extract. And there were a couple of peptides in the spleen, tuftsin, splenin, and splenopentin. And he found that when he did desiccated or raw, they did seem to affect the rats. Now,
well, a couple thoughts. Sure, more research needs to be done on this whole topic of whether raw food or cooked food is better, whether there's more bioavailability of the nutrients, whether we're so full of the nutrients in the first place that doesn't really matter. Plus the idea that this is a non-clinical population that we're talking about here. So if you take studies, animal studies, and even healthy humans, I'm thinking of those of you who are watching me who have had a Roux-en-Y gastric bypass or gastric sleeve or other kind of, or you're on medicines that reduce the stomach acidity. So like the omeprazole, the proton pump inhibitors. So in a clinical population, I think that makes the idea of eating raw foods a little riskier because you don't have the stomach acidity or the internal anatomy to actually take care of the introduction of these things like it, would be happening if you hadn't had some sort of surgical or medical change internally. That's kind of a take-home point for any video that you watch online. Always consider the source. And is it someone who's been through the experience that you're wanting to go through? Is it someone who's had clinical experience from patients on medications? And so you want to be careful when you're hearing, especially, one-size-fits-all sorts of information, because there's nuance when you start getting into that clinical population, or even if that person hasn't used keto or low carb or whatever diet for the same purpose, you might not want to follow exactly what they've done.
This is a 1970s study that wasn't published in Nature or Cell or Science. So who knows? But there is some of that kind of like murky research from before you or I were born. That's intriguing, and it's never been repeated. The peptides in organ concentrates are kind of they're a black box. Like, could it be helpful for humans? Absolutely. Could it not have any effect on us? Yeah. I think hopefully we'll get, I hope we get more into that in the future of nutrition.
Yeah. And I think the answer is not known whether you should eat your meat raw or cooked. At least now I would err on the side of cooking, especially if you have a clinical issue, prior surgery, or you're on medications that interfere with the stomach acidity. It'd be great if more research were done in this area. The new dietary guidelines for Americans focuses on eat real food. It doesn't really talk about how to prepare the food, whether it should be raw or cooked. It does focus or introduce the idea that you could have oils and butter back in the food when you do the cooking. Maybe there will be people who want to study how the guideline can be implemented and what nuance there should be in eating real food. So the study title, should we cook the meat or should we eat it raw? And you do some kind of study based on that question. I think the answer is still not known, and these nuances need to be applied for your particular situation. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and look out for new content on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining our YouTube membership for early access and exclusive live Q&As with me. Just click the join button below or support us with a PayPal in the description.